The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Dude, anything is possible. If I could move back with my parents at 32 and a half years old and be happy and still be in a happy relationship, anything is possible. The Canucks are winning the Stanley Cup next year, and it has everything to do with Quinn Hughes being the next Bobby Orr. Let's talk about it. Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, let's crack a cold one. Because the Vancouver Canucks are winning a Stanley Cup sooner than you think. Are we drunk on optimism? Perhaps. But that's what you get here on Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. And as always, joined by my co-host, Kyle Bowen. We appreciate the hell of you for tuning in with us on this sunny Friday or whenever the hell you're listening to this episode. Before we dive into it, we got to thank you for tuning in. And we also got to thank those sponsors, baby. And today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Go download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Not a lot of optimism in Vancouver, especially about them potentially winning the Stanley Cup. But Kyle and I are here to tell you today why anything is possible and how the Canucks can go on a miraculous run next year and win it all. Because guess what? Anything can happen, baby. And of course, Kyle, it centers around Quinn Hughes. We're going to bring up a few things today. I mean, projections on the roster, Quinn Hughes' potential, and other teams that have succeeded without, let's say a couple forwards being that upper echelon of the NHL. But man, oh man, Kyle, I don't know if it's Friday. I don't know if it's summer. I don't know if it's because I cracked this beer. I don't know if it's because I'm starting vacation. But I'm starting to believe that the Canucks may have a better chance next year than people think.
Yeah, and it has a lot to do with, the sun shining. And, we got Quinn Hughes on our team. And I don't think it's delusion. I don't even think it's a lot of optimism. It's just a lot of faith in the best player in franchise history, one of the best players in hockey, and him being healthy. And I'm curious, Trevor, like how many points does Quinn Hughes put up last year? Like if you go through your mental Rolodex, close your eyes, just remember how dominating this guy was. He was Connor McDavid on the back end. He was better than Cale Makar before he got injured. Again, how many points does this guy have? And what type of offseason is he having this offseason? And how much is he putting on his shoulders? Like, I wonder if he wants to get better. And I'm really, really curious because, before we talk about the quote-unquote depth and our defense being really strong and our goaltending being amazing, let's be honest. We're talking about this roster, this version of the Vancouver Canucks, and the only way they're winning a Stanley Cup next year is if Quinn Hughes is as good as I actually think he is. And I think Quinn Hughes is a 100-point defenseman. I do think he has the ability. This sounds crazy, but to carry this team all the way, and that kind of means he has to get on his Bobby Orr-ish. Right, Trevor? Like, he has to be the best player in hockey. Now, the league's seen a lot of McDavid and Draisaitl and a lot of Gustav Forsling and Kachuk and Barkov and Bobrovsky. I still believe, again, a lot of this has to do with how much better this guy's gotten over the last 2 years and how much great hockey, exceptional hockey, historic hockey we saw game in and game out last season, right, with Quinn Hughes. I just believe there's a different level to him, and if he gets there, we have to believe like an outlier situation, a historic situation, a legendary situation could be on the rising because Quinn Hughes is actually that damn good at hockey.
Yeah, and I mean, you need a team to win, but I think one of the most important things, or the most important thing, is having elite talent, some of the best talent in the NHL. And God, I know you and I both believe Quinn Hughes is the best defenseman in the NHL. I mean, look at what he did last year. Again, he wasn't playing caddy with Nathan McKinnon, right? Unlike some other of the best defensemen out there. He put up, he was on pace for 91 points, playing with 3 different injuries throughout the season. I mean, I do believe last year, if Quinn Hughes was healthy and played a full 82, based on the pace he was on early, man, oh man, this guy's an 100-point defenseman easily. And honestly, if he has a good offseason, if he has injury luck on his side next season, I don't see any reason why Quinn Hughes won't be a 20-goal, 100-point defenseman, which of course would be, the first time in Canucks history that's ever happened. Quinn Hughes has already shattered every record there. But this doesn't happen a lot in NHL history in general, although we've seen guys, of course, like Carlson, Josi, and Makar put up some pretty big numbers over the years. But it starts with Quinn Hughes. And one of the examples I was thinking of when we thought about, Can the Canucks actually win the Stanley Cup next year? And of course, it's a long shot, man, but we're believing in miracles, baby. Look
Yeah.
at the Boston Bruins from 22-23. I bring them up because I think they had a good season in 21-22, but it seemed like they were primed for some regression. And of course, they came out the next season and had one of the best regular seasons in NHL history. Different situation because
They
had
almost beat
David
Florida. And they
Pastrnak.
almost beat Florida. Sorry to cut
And they
you off.
almost beat
They
Florida, yeah,
almost beat Florida. They
exactly.
almost like ended it before it started. The historic clip, right? Brad Marchand, was it game 5 or game 6? Breakaway with 5 seconds left, in the game, in a tied game, could have ended Florida right there. And Boston couldn't do it. And now the rest is history. Now Florida has a dynasty. But again, you can carry on now, Trevor. They were a good team.
Yeah, they were a damn good team. Like you said, Kyle, they had a pretty good chance of actually beating Florida and going on a run there. But, David Pastrnak that season had 113 points, right? By far the best player on the Boston Bruins. After that, the next highest scoring player had 67 points, and that was Brad Marchand. They did have 7 guys that hit the 50-point plateau, 7 forwards, I should say. So when looking at the Canucks next season, again, there's not necessarily an elite talent up front, unless you're believing in Elias Pettersson to get back to 100 points. But looking at this roster, are there 7 players with 50-point potential? Of course, maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but let's go. Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Evander Kane, Jake DeBrusk, Philip Hedl, Connor Garland, Nils Höglander. Are there 7 players there that have a potential to get to 50 points? And look, the Boston Bruins had the second most goals in the NHL that season. The Canucks don't need to get there. I mean, Florida had the 15 most goals in the NHL this year. But there is a recipe there for Quinn Hughes to be as dynamite as he's always been, to hit a level that we have not yet seen from him at the age of turning 26 at the beginning of next season, and carry this team on a run here. Because, again, unlike the Edmonton Oilers, where they're carried by 2 stars and then they're lacking the depth, the Canucks have depth here. I mean, look, I went through an exercise yesterday, worst employee of the world, just looking at the average 82 game statistics of each Canuck forward. 11 of the 12 forwards on this roster have averaged 10 goals a season throughout their career. Pretty much every forward except for Teddy Bluger. Of course, that includes Atu Ratu, who was on pace for 17 last year. We'll see if he can keep that up. But the point is, this Canucks team has depth 1 through 4, even though they're lacking the star power. There's a recipe for this team to be led by Quinn Hughes offensively, to have the forwards do just enough, and for them to have great defense and goaltending. And when I bring up that Boston Bruins example, of course, they had Ullmark and Swayman in net. And if Demko and Lankinen reach their potential, man, oh man, you could have another Ullmark, Swayman in net with the Canucks as well the next season.
Yeah, again, there's some pieces there, but again, Trevor, the first 15 minutes of the show just has to be a moment where we glorify the unthinkable, done by Quinn Hughes. And I know it feels like we've already seen the unthinkable because he's just so incredible and he's so dominant. Again, last year, just going through like the Rolodex in my mind, like such a dominating player, and it was so overshadowed by all the BS that was following the Canucks all season long. He was doing some McDavid like things on the D zone the whole time. The whole time he was better than Quinn Hughes. He was really good defensively too. Like he just has the ability to obviously, win games for your team, but I still believe he has a chance to get better. That's the scary part. Like we haven't seen the best of Quinn Hughes, and yeah, you pony that up with Hronek, Marcus Pettersson, DPD taking the next step, like all this depth up front that you're talking about that, you have every right to put in quotations, but on top of, the question marks, again, you have a legendary player, and legends pull off legendary things. And, this is another reason why I constantly want to talk to Thomas Drance. Okay. Cause I want to ask him, cause he worked in the Florida Panthers organization. Does Quinn Hughes have a little bit of Barkov in him when it comes to leadership? Does he have that championship pedigree? I think he does. Quiet soldiers, quiet dogs. Okay. And there's just a champion in there. Like, don't you just look at Quinn Hughes' eyes and the way he plays and the way he carries himself and how humble he is and how he controls himself in front of the cameras. And you just see a guy that wants to be a winner. He's accountable. He wants to do this in Vancouver. I feel as if he has this internal motivation to not like leave Vancouver not a champion. Right. And you look at what Garland did this offseason, Demko and Besser. A lot of that has to do with how incredible Quinn Hughes is. And I feel as if they believe there's a different level to him and they kind of want to be a part of the show. All in all, Quinn Hughes, man, we said this, 12 months ago, 57 months ago, maybe we said this 6 years ago when he broke into the league. Yo, when it's all said and done, and me and Trevor are 90 years old, and we're sitting around a campfire talking to our grandchildren, we're going to be talking about Quinn Hughes being one of the best players of all time. And I'm so happy that it's the only bright spot pretty much for the Canucks outside of like DPD and like some of the young things that happened and Kevin Lankinen. But I'm so happy Quinn Hughes got better last year. And that's telling me that he can get better again this year, knowing that he came off a season where the team sucked or the team was losing. Like, I think the drive in him is going to unlock, again, the unthinkable, the impossible, but a whole new Quinn Hughes.
A whole new Quinn Hughes, brand new. And look, the dedication in this guy, man, oh man. I think he sleeps in a cryo chamber, man. He just goes to sleep in a big old ice bath at night because he's got ice in his veins, baby. But that's that offseason where he worked on his shot and then boom, bam, he scores 17 goals. I mean, Kyle, I think he had 9 goals at the 25 game mark last season. Like, he was on pace for almost 30 goals at one point before injury started to get in the way. Like, again, I think it would be foolish to put a cap on this guy if he stays healthy. He can do the unthinkable. And again, the Canucks, it seems like their mentality has been to kind of beef up this team. There's now bigger players in this lineup. I don't want to call it Florida Panther-esque, but there's guys on this team who can play some big boy hockey now. It's not just all, small skilled guys anymore. And of course, even the smaller guys like Connor Garland and Nils Höglander got a ton of fight and tenacity in their game as well. So leave a comment and let us know, how are the Canucks winning the Stanley Cup next year?
That matters.
How do you envision it? Where's the parade route going? What?
That matters. Like, even being a bigger team, like, you're protecting Quinn Hughes, right? Like the little things. And that's why I actually think he can get better too, because he needs to be healthy. Like Quinn Hughes, he played 68 games last year, but you best believe this guy was probably only 100% for 49 of those games, 48 of those games, 51 of those games. Like, when did he get his like Iron Man claw thingy connected to his wrist? Straight up. And then he had other injuries, right? He prior to that, he was just dominating every game. Like, it was Quinn Hughes and Kevin Lankinen, and then it was Quinn Hughes and Quinn Hughes and Quinn Hughes again. And it's important for these guys to keep him healthy. And we'll talk more about this in the second part of the show. But there is a recipe here for the Canucks to be a tough team, to be a dirty team. I'm not going to go Broad Street Bullies with it, but if they want to lean into the identity and be super tough to play against, not just defensively, but physically, they can do that. And Trevor, that's in some way, shape, or form that leads to protection for Quinn Hughes. Because I'm sick and tired of other teams taking liberties on this guy. I'm sick and tired of it. And that's got to stop. And if that stops, Quinn Hughes is healthy. And you got one of the best players in hockey touching the puck like a billion times in a game and playing 30 minutes a game. Like, isn't it crazy how there were so many moments last year, even when this guy was abused, where he'd be at like minute 29. He'd be playing for like 29 minutes, and then he'd be in the middle of a 90-second shift, and he could still go coast to coast. This guy's an alien, dude.
An absolute alien. I know we're calling Pettersson the alien for a while, but Quinn Hughes is truly the alien. Man, oh man, the cops are coming out because we're making some bold takes here. The Vancouver Canucks winning the Stanley Cup next season. Let's get to the other side and maybe look a bit closer at the forwards on this team. Can they do enough to get the Canucks on a decent playoff run next year? Let's keep sipping the Kool-Aid, baby. Locked On Canucks. Before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at GameTime. GameTime is the place that you will go to get your tickets to the Vancouver Canucks in the Stanley Cup final next year. And man, oh man, I mean, with GameTime, we've all been there, okay? Logging on early, waiting forever for tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for something you've been dying to see. Live events should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. And that's where GameTime comes in. Kyle, every time we've gone to a Canucks game in the past couple of years, I'm always using GameTime because they got the lowest price guarantee. I sit back on the toilet and I picture myself on the GameTime app watching Quinn Hughes dazzle the fans of Vancouver. So whatever you're buying tickets for, whether it's the Canucks, the BC Lions, concerts, or whatever you're into, burlesque shows. Hey, man, that could be a good time too. Kyle, you ever been to a burlesque show?
No, I'm loyal, dude. What are you talking about? I'm loyal to my hot girlfriend, so I don't know what Trevor. I don't know why
you should go with her.
Nah. We'd rather just sip espressos, talk about our lives. Trevor, you don't know me. You don't know us, eh? Maybe this is why we have not gone on a double date.
we're going to go on a double date to a burlesque show, and we're going to get those tickets on Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
People, we back doing this, and that's dreaming, and that's hoping, and that's being delusional, and that's being optimistic, and that's just believing in not just the Canucks, but again, Quinn Hughes doing the impossible for this team. What an athlete, one of the best in North America right now. And Trevor, again, maybe we'll get to this at the end of the show, and like on the live channel, like maybe you guys can fill us in on the details. But has there ever been a championship team like led by one player? Right, because I feel like in our lifetime over the last like 30 years, like there obviously the recipe is to have a couple, right? A couple really good players, but I mean, back in the day, there had to have been moments, right, where like culture and identity helped the team prevail, but they were like led by one superhero, and Quinn Hughes is a superhero who again has to stay healthy. I'm sick and tired, bro. There's sometimes I'm watching Canucks games and I'm so pissed off. This is when you know the team was broken. Again, they didn't defend Brock Besser when he got concussed by Tanner Jeannot, right? And they let Quinn Hughes just take hit and whack after, and nobody did anything. It was the only person who did something was Vincent Darnay, and he can't do anything, right? I'm just sick and tired of it. And this time around, it's different. Like Joshua's going to be healthy. Evander Kane's going to add some swagger to the top of that lineup, or even in the middle of the lineup when it comes to their wings and being tough. And I wonder if that kind of bleeds throughout the lineup. Maybe Kiefer Sherwood takes an additional a level up in the physicality and being accountable for his captain and whatnot. And bro, here's another guy, DPD. DPD's not soft, right? The guy's hard. He's kind of like Zadorov, to be honest, better than Zadorov, right? Like for a rookie, he played hella physical last year. No, he played extremely physical last year. He already got into a fight. Like he has balls. And I just feel like this team is built to protect Quinn Hughes. And now talking out loud, it's like, oh, yo, bro, there's a way for this team to bully their way into some success.
And we haven't said that about a Canucks team in a long, long, long time, to be honest with you. Can you remember the last Canucks team that bullied people around? I guess it's probably like West Coast Express with like Todd Bertuzzi, Donald Brashear days, right?
Yeah, Bertuzzi, that guy's a bully. That guy, I think he's playing hockey again, but I can't remember. Was Todd Bertuzzi a bully? I can't remember. Did he? He
was definitely a bully out there for sure.
I know that was a bad joke. Okay, get well soon, Steve Moore. One love. That was a bad joke. Why are you laughing, Trevor? It's not funny. We're over it, okay? Come on, somebody broke their neck, okay? Come on, man. So let's
got drunk on life, man. My bad. But I went through kind of the exercise yesterday of looking at what the Canucks could look like next season. Again, what their averages were in terms of career statistics, and again, like there could be some heaviness on every line. And the way I broke it down yesterday, and we'll see if this is what the Canucks do on opening night. But this is kind of what the Canucks lineup could look like on opening night, and we'll dive deeper to this here in the offseason. But a first line of Evander, Kane, Elias Pettersson, and Brock Besser. Again, you got some heaviness in the line in Kane. Second line, Jake DeBrusk, Phil Hedl, Connor Garland. Jake DeBrusk, he's definitely got another level there. He needs to unlock it and not be so passive like he was last season. But Connor Garland, I mean, he's his balls are almost arguably bigger than Elias Pettersson's. Elias Pettersson's, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, of the 165 pounds of Connor Garland, like 85 pounds of that is balls. No joke right there. That's why his son's already taller than him. The third line, Dakota, Joshua, Atu, Ratu, Kiefer, Sherwood. On a per 60 basis, those are all the Canucks leaders in hits last season. I mean, that line was kind of fun to watch at times down the stretch last year. And then a fourth line of Drew O'Connor, Teddy Bluger, and Nils Höglander. Of course, Drew O'Connor will be the heaviest player on that line. And then Kyle, you mentioned on the defense, right? DPD would be a physical guy. Hronek is certainly maybe not a hitter, but in board battles is very, very strong. And then you got Tyler Myers. I mean, the way I had the defense potentially next season, I had Quinn Hughes, Tom Melander, I had Marcus Pettersson, Philip Hronek, I had DPD, Tyler Myers. But I mean, how is that lineup sounding like to you heading into next season? And of course, for this long playoff run the Canucks are going on.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Tom Willander. I mean, that's another reason why we could do the unthinkable, because I believe in his athleticism. I believe in his seriousness. And of course, like if there's going to be such a deep learning curve next season, and, there's a good chance he starts in the AHL and whatnot. But, if DPD can get called up in year one of him being a full-time AHLer, Tom Willander can do the same. And, if you look at that D board, right, that unit, if Willander can, not just like playing the NHL, but also take some pressure off him, knowing he's playing with Quinn Hughes, a guy who doesn't make mistakes. Like, just pass him the puck and you'll be fine, right? You'll be fine. Like, then maybe he can exceed. And what if Pettersson, DPD, I'm sorry, is having like a good offseason here, and he just builds off how consistent he was last year, right? Because he was physical, but he was good at the first pass. He was calm and poised, and there's a player there. There's a player there, and then you're just like, you're built for success. And Kevin Lankinen and Thatcher Demko. Again, we said this a couple of days ago after Brock Besser signed. It's like, if this team is healthy and plays like a team, and Brock Besser said that more notably to Chris Faber, like if they just play like a team without JT Miller, right? Because that guy was dragging the whole team down, and Rick Tocchet, dude, like they're going to make the playoffs. And Faber also mentioned too, Faber, again, working with the Canucks in and around that organization, there's a certain calmness about the Canucks, even though they went through turmoil. Like if you go through the history of the Vancouver Canucks, it would be easy to point at this season being something that would wreck this franchise for a very, very long time. But there's a calmness in there where they understood like everything went wrong, and that's not going to happen again. And I feel as if they'll be ready, and if they're healthy, they're going to make the playoffs. And if you get into the playoffs and you're that heavy and you're that deep on defense, and that defensive core led by Bobby Orr, Quinn Hughes, dude, things are possible, man. Things are possible. Again, we're finding solutions on how to do the impossible. There's something that could be done there. And again, Demko and Lankinen. And you talked about this on the phone. Again, I want to preface that, again, if those two are healthy in the regular season, the Canucks are going to get 100+ points. They're really talented. They're really talented. They're really athletic. You can make the case that Demko could be a Hart nominee. Let's say Quinn Hughes only puts up 90 points this year. This team still has success in the regular season. Demko could go 35, 11, and 4 in the 50 starts. 926 save percentage in 2020. Okay, that's asking for a lot. But he could just do the unthinkable, and then we go into the playoffs, and it's like, okay, you went through Demko and Lankinen alternating starts. You had to do it, but here's a problem: you can't really do that in the playoffs because no team does that. And is that a strength now? Is that a strength? And that's where the question mark kind of lies. But you mentioned how like you don't see it happening, but the Canucks could still alternate goalies in the playoffs. And could that be a curveball for their opponents?
Yeah, I think the mentality there is that, and other goaltending experts have said that teams probably should look at rotating goalies in the playoffs. Head coaches usually don't want to do that. I'm not sure if Adam Foote would be the progressive guy to do that, but I'm ready to be surprised now. Colin, I'm glad you mentioned it. Thatcher Demko being great in the regular season, that would be nice. But the main thing that matters is Thatcher Demko being great in the playoffs. Ooh. And that is the other reason why the Canucks are winning the Stanley Cup. More about that on the other side on Locked On Canucks.
People, we back here on the podcast side talking about your Canucks, dreaming, and about to go into Thatcher Demko because I know it's a small sample size, but when we see 5 starts and a save percentage of like 970 or whatever it is.
974, Kyle, 974.
974 in 5 playoff starts. We're not talking about 2. We're talking about 5, right? So, hey, the Canucks could do the impossible. I'm just saying. That being said, we can't go into all that before getting into your comments here again on Locked On Canucks. And look at this comment from Carol, okay? Carol Bovenlander. Bovenlander. What type of... that's a beautiful last name, first of all. That sounds like a Harry Potter last name. Bovenlander.
Professor Bovenlander.
Yeah, there you go, man. And Carol's asking, after saying hi to everybody, what's going on with the Canucks today? Hey, Carol, 12 months from now, you still going to be hungover based on the celebrations courtesy of the Vancouver Canucks Stanley Cup parade. And again, before we dive into the logistics of the parade and Demko and whatnot, I got to remind you, if the Canucks win the Stanley Cup or when the Canucks win the Stanley Cup, I'm taking 60 days off. Why? I don't know why you always laugh at my dreams.
No, I'm smiling, man, because I'm picturing myself taking 60 days off with you, man. Taking the kids with me, man. We're parading around. I'm being painted blue and green for 2 months straight, man. Every episode of Locked On Canucks shirtless with blue and green body paint. That's the people pay for. Wait, you guys want to pay us? That's what people watch here for on Locked On Canucks.
Dude, I can't wait to go to Cactus Club every single day. Why? Okay, Trevor, you keep shrugging your eyebrows. If you're on the YouTube side, it's like every time I have dreams and goals, Trevor's just What's wrong with me wanting to go to Cactus Club every day after the Canucks win the Stanley Cup just to celebrate Vancouver, man? Right? Straight up. I just want to do that.
You should be doing something more Vancouver-esque, like going to Duffin's Donuts.
There's nothing more Vancouver-esque than going to Cactus Club, Trevor. The greatest club in Vancouver and also the greatest cafe in Vancouver. All in all, 60 days off. I'm chugging 6,000 beers and doing the grouse grind every day too. So all in all, I cannot wait. And again, I can't wait to see Demko in the playoffs and elaborate just a bit. I know. Sounds crazy. It's only 5 starts, but I don't know.
Well, like, Kyle, let's look at some of the best goaltending runs in playoff history, right? Like, I think of Ken Dryden as a rookie back in the 1970s with the Montreal Canadiens, coming out of nowhere and being a stud in the playoffs. Patrick Waugh, exactly. A couple of crazy runs back. I think it was 93 and 86 for the Montreal Canadiens.
Dude.
Even a more recent history, like look at that Kings team that beat the Canucks in round 1. Jonathan Quick had like a .940 save percentage in that postseason. I'm not going to mention that goaltender from 2011, but he was pretty damn good too. Sometimes all it takes is a hot goaltender to really boost the ceiling of your team. And again, Demko has the potential to be that guy, especially if they split starts with Lankinen throughout the season properly, maybe even rotate Lankinen in for some playoff games as well. Demko has the ability to be special, and that can make up for some of the perceived flaws in the forward group for your Vancouver Canucks.
Well, it could frustrate the other team. Like, not only could it give you like hope amongst your roster when you have a backbone like Thatcher Demko doing his thing, right? And you got to believe this too. Like Thatcher Demko, based on what he's gone through in his career, yeah, it might be best for this guy to not play every game. But I feel as if in the playoffs, he would be so motivated to not let go of the crease. Like, this is his legacy moment. This is like, sorry, Lankinen, thanks for getting us here, but I got this. Enjoy the show. And like, I feel like there'd be some bravado in him in those moments. And again, like, we've seen 5 starts from this guy in the playoffs. He hasn't had a lot of work, but 5 is not, it's not 2. I just want to preface that. It's not 2. I know it's just 5, but it's not 2. This guy might be one of those guys who levels up. We talk all about Sam Bennett, right? The type of guy who turns into the playoffs. Like, well, what's not to say that Demko isn't that guy too, but oh yeah, he's the goaltender who plays 60 minutes a game. That's scary. That's scary for any team. And again, he could give the boost throughout the lineup on your team when he's your goalie, but how deflating is that for the other team? Like, it's like a stranglehold, like an anaconda. Just killing you slowly. Killing you softly? That's a song, right?
Killing me softly with Demko. Killing you softly with Demko.
I like how you brought up Demko, man. I really do. I kind of forgot about that because I was going through like, oh, maybe they could have the best goaltending duo in hockey, and maybe that would confuse teams in the playoffs if they did choose to go back to back with different guys, game in and game out. And we never seen that before. Oh, we've never seen the Canucks win the Stanley Cup before. Oh, maybe we have to do like things never seen before, like the American Bobby Orr and this goaltending carousel in the playoffs. Like, you never see that. But hey, at the end of the day, screw all that. Like, let's just see again, Demko step up to the plate and be a superstar. Like, play at 97 overall, 98 overall.
Yeah, and I'd say he's been a 99 overall in his 5-game playoff career so far, which is a very small sample size. But if anyone can do it, it's Thatcher Demko and Quinn Hughes, and the rest can be made up because of those 2 guys. And that's why the Vancouver Canucks are winning the Stanley Cup in 2026. I'm starting the celebration early, man. I'm going on vacation starting tomorrow. I'll still be joining you here on Locked On Canucks from the other side of the world because I freaking love this team, man. And I know it's going to be worth it to do this show. It's always worth it doing it for the people, but it'll especially be worth it when we're celebrating a Stanley Cup win in 2026.
Yep. I'm starting to believe, man. This is why we have these conversations. And again, Trevor, as a sport fan, it's not as if I want to be like delusionally optimistic every day, because now I'm 32 and a half years old. When you're a kid, you do believe the Canucks are winning every game. Like, I don't know if that was the case with you, but I always thought they would go 82-0 and then 16-0 in the playoffs, being a young kid. All right. And I know that's not the case here. And we still, sitting today are doing the impossible here and mustering up some sort of Stanley Cup next year. But I feel as if I wouldn't be doing myself a service if I wasn't thinking like this, considering that we do have Quinn Hughes. Like, I'm not going to disrespect Quinn Hughes like that. At the level this guy's playing and how many minutes this guy plays, I'm going to believe that athlete can, somehow get the job done. Do the most. Be a legend. Like, what are the chances that Quinn Hughes, again, based on his athletic ability and his preparation, what are the chances that he could individually have the best season in NHL history? Honestly, it's at 1%. For most guys, it's at 0%. But at 1%, Quinn Hughes could do that, and I'm holding on to that. And that's what's going to need to happen. Yeah, Demko, the depth, blah, blah, blah. And we did it. We got through the whole episode, and we didn't talk about Elias Pettersson. Why? Because we read books, okay? It's deeper than that. All in all, though, I believe in Quinn. We got Hughes plans, and go Canucks go. Hit the like button, subscribe. You know the deal. Most other shows talking about the Canucks, they're going on hiatus or taking like smaller breaks throughout the summer. We're here every day. So tell your friends and your family members that, we're just, you want to talk about the Canucks. You need a little bit, you need that dose of blue and green. You need that optimism. Join LOC, subscribe, hit the like button, and share it, man. It helps us out a lot. And happy wife, happy life. Happy wives, happy lives. There's two of us here.
Amen, brother. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog. But regardless, we appreciate the hell of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. My name's Trevor Beggs. That freaking beauty over there, Kyle Bowen, 32 and a half years old. I saw a comment saying, bro, you're just a child. I'm guessing he's talking about me. I'm 31 going on 13. But Kyle, could be talking about you, man. You got a youthful energy about you, buddy. And we're going to keep that youthful energy going here.
Are you saying that I haven't gone through puberty yet? Are you taking a shot at me too? I'm starting to think that Trevor, you know what? Never mind. I think I need to go to therapy, man. I think I'll just...
Our therapy will be the Canucks winning the Stanley Cup in 2026. Let's go!
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.